Van Show. He's a monster on a mission to talk to lots of folks. Van Show, Van Show, Van Show, Van Show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Van Show. Yay! Oh, thank you, Fernie. Today we have a very extra special guest. Today we have the one, the only, Austin Grossman. Say hello, Austin.
Hello.
Hey, Austin, thank you so much for coming on our show.
Oh, it looks like a great deal of fun.
Well, it is a great deal of fun. That's something we pride ourselves on here at Van Show Incorporated. We have fun. And so to get started, we want to learn about you. It is called the Van Show, but today it's the Austin Show.
Oh, good. I like that.
That's right. Now, Austin, tell us where you're from.
I am originally from Massachusetts, in Lexington, and I currently live in Brooklyn, New York.
So now you're in Brooklyn. What's something that you love about Brooklyn?
It's very dirty, and I don't know. I live in a very tall building. I live on the 22nd floor of a building.
Wow.
And I don't know. I never thought I'd be able to do that. I look out the window. I can see everything. Every once in a while, I notice the window, and I kind of because I forget that I'm so high up, and then I remember.
You get a little vertigo, like in the morning.
Yeah, I do.
Can you see the bridge from your house?
I can see the bridge.
Whoa.
I can see my brother's house. It's nice to look down on my brother's house.
So your family lives close, or at least your brother does.
My brother does, yes.
That's really cool. Do you guys hang out?
We do hang out. He's a novelist.
Oh, wow. So it must be in the blood.
You know, my parents are novelists. One of my great uncle gave a child up for adoption, and then decades later we searched her down, and she was a novelist.
What?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so I mean we're getting into the heavy of it, so we might as well dive right in. So we brought you on here because you're a novelist, also a game creator, both creative fields, and we like to talk to creatives here. So tell us a little bit about how did you get started? Like when did you realize, you know what? I like writing. I like creating stories and telling stories and sharing them.
Well, as I said, my parents were writers, and they were great writers. They're really good. And growing up, they were like these giant people who said these profound things, and I thought I could never do that. So I grew up. I went to college. I didn't really know what to do. Sometimes I wrote little things, but I thought, oh, that's terrible. I designed games in my 20s, which is good. But I didn't feel like I could do games my whole life.
Oh, yeah?
You can't just play video games forever. That was my feeling. So in my early 30s, I went to graduate school. I got to get a PhD in English. And I thought, well, this is it for me. I'm never going to do anything that exciting. And I was a little bit in despair. What's the rest of my life going to be? But I was in class, and I would write these funny little things in the margins. That I just kind of like to do. And then, they kind of ran together, and I thought it seemed like a character. And then I thought, who's this character? And I realized the character was a supervillain.
Ooh.
And the supervillain was sitting in jail, thinking about his life, thinking about how he had fought his arch nemesis 50 times. He'd lost 50 times. And he was sitting there and thinking, well, it's a little strange. I'm not sure why I'm doing this. Over and over. But then he thinks, well, when I get out of here, I'm going to take over the world.
I'm going to do it again.
And yes, and I thought to myself, well, it's cool to believe in yourself, but sometimes it's a more interesting story to write about someone who doesn't believe in themselves, but goes on anyway. And that was kind of my situation. And I thought, I'm kind of like a supervillain.
Whoa.
So that turned into my first book. That turned into Soon I Will Be Invincible.
Now, was this the first thing you actually wrote, or did you have a couple novels before that never got published?
Oh, no. I had written maybe like halves of a couple of short stories. So this was the absolute first thing.
Wow.
I talked to a lot of writers who say, oh, I wrote 3 or 4 novels. I talked to someone who written 17 novels, and then the 18th was accepted.
Whoa.
No way could I do that. No way. This was the first one. I worked on it for 6 years. If nobody had liked that, I think I would have been done. It feels like I don't have the same resilience as some novelists.
Now, did you the first publisher you sent it to? Did they say yes?
Well, I sent it. Okay, here's the story of how this happened.
Okay.
So I've written like 3 or 4 chapters and some notes, and is this a novel? What is this? So I sent it to my brother, who was already writing novels, very good ones. And this is the nicest thing he ever did to me, for me. He, without asking me, he sent those chapters to his agent.
Oh.
And his agent called me up, and to all agents out there, this is the way to start a conversation. She called me up and she said, first thing she said was, "You're a genius."
Oh, there you go.
I really like that as an opener. True or not, it really sets a good tone for the conversation. And so she said, "You should probably finish that book." So 6 years later, I sent it to her, and then we sent it to publishers, and it all worked out.
Now tell us. You brought a book here. Now this is your fourth book. Is that right?
My fourth book.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about it.
This is called Fight Me. It's kind of like what if the Teen Titans got old. It's about four people, and they're four friends, and they meet in high school, and they all have superpowers. And at first they don't really like each other, but then they all have to fight a supervillain together, and that kind of makes them friends.
All right.
But then, they graduate from high school, and some of them go to college, some of them get into arguments. They all just kind of drift apart. And then by the time they're in their 40s, like none of them are talking to each other. They're over it. But then the supervillain comes back.
Uh-oh. And
they all have to team up again and fight that supervillain. And no one really wants to. They're kind of mad at each other. That's exactly what they have to do. They have to come back. They have to beat the supervillain, and they have to deal with all the stuff they left behind. When they stop being friends. So it's sort of both stories at once.
Now you've written a few other books too. You've got a historical fiction book.
Yes.
About Richard Milhous Nixon.
Yes,
Is that correct?
I wrote the true history of Richard Nixon. He wrote his autobiography after faking his own death. And he explains about everything he went through. Everyone's mad at Nixon. But it was all because at the same time he was fighting against an occult conspiracy, sort of based on the work of H.P. Lovecraft. So it's kind of a mashup of the real Nixon and an H.P. Lovecraft novel. And the moment I thought of it, I thought Nixon, Lovecraft, they're meant to be together. I love A Secret History, and then the moment you think of it, you just start to extrapolate. And then I thought, oh, Eisenhower, he was like a great sorcerer, And I make it, then it goes back, and I just did Taft, I did Coolidge, I did Lincoln. It all makes sense. It all makes so much more sense if you think that there's a dark beings outside the universe wielding terrible magic. And that explains history.
And our presidents are the only ones that can stand in the way of eldritch horror.
That is exactly right. It is actually a magical office that confers powers on you.
That's amazing, Austin. Mitch, talk briefly about the game design that you did in your early days. Because you worked on some games that I really love. Deus Ex is one of them, and Dishonored, both games that I played way too much of and when I probably should have been doing homework.
I should say
talk a little bit about that?
I still make games. I've never given that up.
Okay.
Oh, heck no. I make video games. Why would I stop doing that? I like that I do novels too. Come on, they're video games.
No. Okay, I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
No.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about like what was your role in designing the games? Were you like a story creator or?
No. For Deus Ex and Dishonored, I was actually, they had actually figured out most of the story of the game before I came on. They were like, "Here's the concept, help us execute it." So that's what I did in both cases. Deus Ex had a great lead writer, Sheldon Picardi, but he created this big, complicated world full of conspiracies, it was me and Robin Todd, and we were like filling it in because it was such a big, complicated world with all these different stories inside it. We sat down and wrote that and filled it out, and sort of worked with the designers to figure out the logic of all the missions. Because when you're making a video game, one thing you have to do is think about every possible thing the player could do.
Oh, sure.
And what are you going to do about it?
Coming on the show and talking to us.
Thank you for asking me. This was great.
Absolutely. I'm really excited to read your new book. I do love Teen Titans, and I love this idea of like what are they going to be doing in their 40s, or later, and trying to bring back old friends, always comedic gold.
Yes, thank you. It is actually quite fun.
Yeah, well, I guess I did want to ask. So, like, would you say this is more of a comedy than an action story, or is it kind of both?
You know, I started out thinking to myself, I'm going to write sad novels. I'm going to write the saddest novels anyone's ever seen. But then people started laughing, and I realized I was writing comedies, and that's what I write.
Amazing. All right. So thank you so much for coming on the show. Oh wait, Fernie, did you have anything you wanted to add before we go? Oh, Fernie absolutely loves your stories, by the way. And Fernie, an avid video game player. You wouldn't think it, but she can really work those ferns. Franz. Yes.
Thank you. No, I really like this fern.
Isn't Fernie great?
Goodbye.
Van Show! Van Show!